Hi, welcome. I'm Cher, Shadow Walker, and I'm looking at the eastern provinces of Canada for cryptid sightings from March 7th in the evening through to March 9th now. Hellhounds and black dogs in Coley Point and Bay Roberts, March 7th, late evening. A resident reported near the shoreline an entity that was described as massive, silent canine that did not leave tracks in the wet sand. This aligns with what they usually see down there for those strange occurrences. In St. John's, March 8th, during the haunted hike, pre-preparations near Duckworth Street, multiple reports surfaced of a phantom shadow with glowing eyes moving between the old stone foundation. Unlike standard ghost reports, this entity was described as having a physical, heavy presence. Bigfoot and Dogmen. On March 8th, hikers near Loggy Bay section reported a series of unnatural whistles followed by heavy wood knocks. A Class A and a Class B report described a tall, dark-furred bipedal figure moving parallel to the trail at high speeds, keeping to the dense area of the forest. Gander Lake area, March 9th, in the early morning, a truck driver on the Trans-Canada Highway reported a large wolf-headed humanoid dogman crossing the road in two bounds. The witness noticed the creature had white-gray mane and eyes that reflected in the headlights with a deep amber glow. Skinwalkers, the Terra Nova National Park, March 8th. Local campers reported mimicking cry sounds, specifically the sound of a child crying that transitioned into mechanical clicking noises. When the camper approached, they saw a coyote with elongated limbs that stood up on its hind legs and retreated into the bush with a human-like gait. Spider humanoids. Western Newfoundland, Porterbrook area, March 9th, early morning. Reports have emerged of a scuttering entity seen on the exterior of a remote cabin. It was described as having human-sized torso, but with 8 spindly jointed appendages. The witness noted it moved with a glitching, statico motion, appearing and disappearing behind the side of the building. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day, and heads up on the cryptoids. So in Newfoundland, Bigfoot sightings, the Avalon Peninsula, St. John's West, and Butterpot. So Butterpot Provincial Park area on March 7th, in the evening, a cross-country skier reported hearing heavy rhythmic thumps that shook the ground near the frozen pond. Now, local skeptics often cite that there's moose in the area, and they try to say that's moose activity. However, the frequency of the thumping suggests a heavy bipedal gait. There's no mention of anybody looking for tracks. Central Newfoundland, Exploit Valley. Reports of a large, dark shape moving through the timbers were noted near Grand Falls, Windsor, on March 8th. Witnesses described the figure as over 7.5 feet tall that crossed a logging road in 2 steps before vanishing into the spruce. Hellhounds, Conception Bay, Bay Roberts, and Coley's Point. So a black dog was reported on the night of March 7th. Residents said that it was coal black canine with burning yellow eyes standing near the old shipwreck site. The entity reportedly made no sound and left no paw prints on the frost. Bonavista Peninsula. Motorists near Trinity report a massive spectral dog crossing the highway in the early morning of March 9th, so this morning. The phantom was described as being the size of a Newfoundland, but with predatory lean silhouette that seemed to phase through the guardrail. Wow. Dogman in Labrador. Labrador border and southeast coast. Reports of an upright wolf that moved downward towards the northern tip of the island on March 8th. Unconfirmed reports of Mary's Harbor describe the creature with a wolf-like head and human-like hands seen scavenging near a local fish plant. And the Gross Morin National Park, hikers in the Long Range Mountains reported being stalked by a tall, broad-shouldered canine that stayed just out of visual range but emitted a low vibrating growl that could be felt in the chest. Skinwalkers. The Irish Loop, the Southern Shore. Reports of vocal mimicry cry were noted from Fairyland on March 8th. A local family reported hearing family members' voices calling for help from the woods while that person was sitting inside the house. That's a little creepy. Burn-In Peninsula. High strangeness involving shape-shifting shadows reported on the evening of March 7th. Witnesses described the figure that appeared to be a deer from a distance but stood up and ran like a man when approached by a vehicle. Spider humanoids in western Newfoundland, Corner Brook, and the Bay of Islands. Following historical spider scare incidents at Corner Brook, new reports have emerged of a long-limbed scuttering figure seen on the rock-faced cliffs above the city. On March 8th, witnesses report seeing a human-shaped entity with 6 or 8 spindly limbs moving vertically up the cliffside near Man in Mountain Formation. Coastal sea scutters. There are unidentified chatter regarding multi-jointed figures seen on the rocky beaches of the northern peninsula during the early morning hours of today, March 9th. These are described as having prying motion or praying motion as they look for something in the tide pools. Creepy. So, in the Kejimkujik area of Nova Scotia, on Highway 8, on March 7th, reports of a heavy bipedal movement were noted in the dense woods near Kejimkujik boundaries. This area remains a focal point due to its historical connection to the Mi'kmaq tradition. Witnesses described hearing deep guttural huffs that did not match local bears or moose vocalizations. Cape Breton area, the Wreck Cove and Capstick area. High elevation reports from March 8th mention large dark figures moving along the ridge lines while the highlands are known for the mist and fog. These reports specified a deliberate upright gait. Anaki and Mountain Anaki Lake, described on historical Class B reports of tree shaking, resonant reports, an aggressive series of thumping sounds this on the side of a wood structured frame in the early morning hours of March 9th. In the Shelburne County, Welshtown area, there has been a heightened sensitivity in the region following reports of an aggressive canine activity. While officials record the site as a large breed domestic incident, independent researchers have flagged the upright Sandy Cove Road corridor for sightings of a digital grade entity that stands nearly 7 feet tall. Annapolis Valley. A motorist in Northern Mountains reports a wolf headed figure crouched near the roadside on the night of March 8th. The witness stated the creature had unusually long arms and retreated into the bush with fluid multi-step leaps. Bipedal. Hellhounds and skinwalkers. Halifax Metro and Point Pleasant Park. Reports of a large spectral dog, black, with reflective eyes, were noted by late-night walkers near the shoreline on March 7th. These sightings are being cross-referenced with hellhound ledgers due to the creature's tendency to dissipate when approached. Skinwalkers, the Mimic, Bridgewater, and Lunenburg. On March 8th, reports of disembodied whistling, vocal mimicking surfaced in the woods near Bridgewater. Witnesses described hearing voices that sounded like their own family members calling from deep within the forest, a hallmark of skinwalkers and high strangeness. Spider humanoids, the Bay of Fundy shoreline. Reports of multi-limbed scuttering have increased near the sea caves and rock crop edges of the Annapolis Basin. On March 8th, witnesses reported seeing a pale, long, multi-jointed figure moving horizontally across vertical rock face with speeds exceeding any known local animals. In the Wreck Cove industrial area, unverified reports from early this morning, March 9th, describe a multi-spindly legged figure seen near the hydraulic infrastructure. These entities are consistently described as moving with jittery or vibrational qualities and a clicking sound. Okay, New Brunswick, the Kingston Peninsula. On the evening of March 7th, residents near the Kingston Peninsula report a series of rhythmic wood knocks, a deep chest cavity vocalization. These reports align with the region's history of sightings and hearings of Bigfoot. Moncton, outskirts, Irish Town, and Shediac. Following up on a surge of interest in the 2024 New Brunswick Bigfoot Conference. A new report surfaced on March 8th near Irishtown Nature Park. A local hiker found a large elongated footprint in the mud of a thawing trail. The imprint measured approximately 16 inches. In the Elgin, Caledonia Mountains, late night activity on March 8th involving a shadowy upright figure seen by a group of campers. They described the figures as being over 8 feet tall and posing a shimmering quality before retreating to the dense bush. Dogman, Miramichi Valley River. There is an active report from the early morning of March 9th, so early this morning, involving a large wolf-like head entity seen near Skyway Lodge area. The witness described the creature as having a human-like torso with thick grayish-black fur, standing on hind legs for several seconds before dropping onto all fours. In the Sackville Walker Road corridor, building on the historical road crossing reports in this area, a motorist reported a massive canine with glowing amber eyes crossing the road in 2 leaps at approximately 11:30 p.m. on March 7th. Hellhounds and skinwalkers, St. Andrews, the Algonquin region. During a scheduled paranormal investigation over the weekend of March 7th and March 8th, participants at the Algonquin Resort reported sightings of a black spectral dog on the beachfront. Unlike typical ghosts, this hellhound was described as having heavy physical presence that caused local temperatures to drop. Skinwalkers, the mimicking cry. In the Fredericton area, reports of voices sounding like distressed children or familiar friends were noted in the wooded areas of Okmulgto border on March 8th. Local researchers have categorized these skinwalker-type encounters due to the predatory nature and vocalizations. Spider humanoids, the Bay of Fundy, the sea caves. Reports of multi-limb scuttering were noted near St. Martin's Sea Caves late on March 7th. Witnesses described a figure that appeared human from a distance but moved with erratic eight-legged gait when it entered the rocky crevasse. Urban pipe crawlers. Similar to the reports in other provinces, there have been unverified chatter in the St. John's regarding thin, multi-jointed entities seen near the older industrial drainage outlets during the early morning hours of March 9th. That's today.